I'm totally freelancing, so you better watch out.
I'm in.
Talk about Jim Jones fishing.
Oh, yeah. Talking about MLF Angler of the Year.
Yeah.
Michael Neal winning.
Yeah.
The Dean. Need I say more? All that and more starting right now. Tackle Shop Live. Yeah. Man, exciting show today. Very exciting show. What's up, guys? Bill Barnes, how you doing? Andre, Kevin Carpenter. What's up, Kevin? Good seeing everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Another edition of Tackle Shop Live. I'm Mike Acord. This is George Acord.
Right on.
That is Corbin Gottwald over there. And behind the camera is
Can you speak?
cameraman Nick.
Cameraman Nick.
We love it, Nick. And Caitlin is going to be running some computer stuff. How you doing, Mark? What's going on, buddy? Welcome, everybody from Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate everything. All you guys stopping by. Thank you so much. Man, we got a special guest tonight. We got the Dean, Pete Gluszek, going to be stopping by. And we are going to have some great conversation with him, talk about all kinds of cool stuff. Because Pete has been around a while and he has a lot to say. And he is the latest Angler of the Year in the Northeast BFL division. So we're going to talk about that. St. Chris, how you doing, buddy? What's up, man? How you been? So it's going to be a fun show. Appreciate everybody stopping in. Nick's back. Nick's been he's been fishing.
That's right. I've been fishing St. Lawrence. Had a great time up there with the BFL.
Yeah.
And happy to be back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, so Nick went up and fished the BFL in Thousand Islands and finished well up there.
Yeah, it was the BFL Super Tournament. Got 23rd in the tournament.
Okay.
Finished, I think, 5 spots or so out of fishing day 2.
Yeah.
It was so close. It was a pound.
Yeah.
Is what it was. Ended up 21st for the year.
Was that a dead fish penalty pound? Would
No.
that put you there?
About a quarter ounce.
Oh, really?
It was, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But, it was a pound away.
Yeah.
Got 21st for the year, so I'm inside that regional cut, and
we'll
go to the Potomac and have some fun.
That's right, man. You get to fish for a boat coming up down there.
That's right. Yeah, get to fish for a boat.
Yeah, well, that's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of good sticks down there.
What was some of your big takeaways from your St. Lawrence? Because you've never really fished the St. Lawrence before.
I've never really fished the St. Lawrence before, and I will say Daryl Esterly, one of our locals here.
Yeah. Daryl's real good up there.
He keyed me in on a few things to look at in a river situation as that one, and it really helped. And I was looking for deep rock is what I got comfortable with.
Right.
And ended up doing some drifts with Carolina rig.
How deep were you fishing?
Anywhere between 20 to 35 feet. I know that seems like a big range, but you had to find the right structure. And
a lot of those quick breaks break off so fast.
Right.
Because what you fished like 4 or 5 days.
Right.
Yeah, I came up. I just happened to come up when you were leaving.
You did.
And we caught our fish from 30 to 50.
Wow. Yeah.
And 32 to 38 was like the sweet spot everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you didn't fish the lake; you were mostly in the river. We found the lake fish also preferred that deeper water.
Deeper water.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what was your water temperature when you pulled into town?
Water temperature was right around, depending, 68 to 70
Average.
degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were like 66 to 67, maybe 68. So your water temperature the week before you were there was 76. So, we had that falling water temperature. Fish were definitely starting to think about relocating. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it was interesting. I made a note here to get some takeaways from you because I thought the fish were. I fished Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I thought the fish were not real aggressive.
Right.
I mean, we caught fish, and we did all right, particularly Sunday and Tuesday. But I didn't think the fish were real aggressive.
It's a time of the year, man. It's a transition time of the year.
Well,
It's tough.
It is. And George, you said my biggest takeaway, and here's what I got to say.
Yeah, that's really what I'm looking for.
I believe if you're going to go fish a tournament out there, this is just my opinion. If you're in a spot and you're catching 2 to 4 pounders, that's what you're going to catch there.
Yeah.
You really need to take the time to go find those schools or those areas where those bigger fish are, because they are going to be there.
And I agree with that.
Well, the funny thing about the Thousand Islands, and everybody watches it on TV, and they're like, "Oh man, I got to go up there. We're gonna pound them. We're
27 pounds.
Geez, it's not a gimme.
Well,
it's never been a gimme up there. I've been going up there for 5 years, like hardcore, and it's never been a gimme. You always have to work hard for them, but once you get on them, it's magical, But you got to work your butt off for it. And
the other thing, Mike, about those big bags, they didn't catch a lot of fish.
Yeah.
They caught the big fish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
right.
That's pretty
They
interesting.
didn't pound a lot of big fish.
And that's
No. They didn't catch a lot of fish.
That's what I mean.
They caught 5s.
They caught
to
big fish.
6.5.
Right. They caught big fish.
You know what I mean?
And that's what's so interesting. What you're saying, George, is you really got to make a choice when you go up there. Do I want to catch numbers of fish, or do I really want to go for that big bite? And
You
that's
do.
tough to do.
It is. It's really tough to
You
do.
do.
You want to get a bag and then just trying to find them big ones. It's not that easy. It's really not. But but that was interesting. Good job, Nick. Way to go, pal. That was that's a good showing. And then qualifying for that's awesome. But the show tonight is about the Dean, Pete Gluszek.
Yeah.
And we're going to add him in right now. Yo, Pete.
What's up?
Man, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. It's so good to talk to you guys.
Hang on, Pete.
Hold up, Pete. We got you muted out.
Got you muted out, Pete. Hang on. Shoot. Are you
How
muted,
about
Pete?
now? I talk, it mutes me
We see
out.
you real good, Pete. We just don't hear you.
Okay. How about now? My mic shows good.
We heard you a little while ago.
Stream here.
That works.
How's that, Pete? Hear me? Oh, wait.
You got me now? Hello? Hello?
Shoot. How do I do that?
Let me leave and come.
I got you, Pete. Hang on, buddy. He just kicked out. Anyway, we'll bring him back here in a minute. Technical difficulties as always. We'll get Pete back here in a minute. Anyway, but George was up for 3 days fishing Saturday, Sunday. Let's see if we got Pete here.
How about now?
How about you, Pete? You there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Why can't I hear you, Pete? Why can't I hear you?
I don't know. Let me try.
I'm sorry.
something
Hang on,
else.
bud. Hang on. I'm going to figure this out here in a minute. Invite. Gotcha.
Allow. Enter studio.
People watching are saying they can hear him.
They can hear Pete?
That's what they're saying.
Oh, okay, good. All right. Let me see. Hang on. I'll get it here.
They can hear Pete. We can't hear
We
Pete.
can't hear Pete. Hang on. I'll get it. I'll get it figured out.
I need to hear Pete. Pete's got good.
Keep
things to
talking,
say.
Pete. Everybody can hear you.
Mike, you turn the
Hey,
volume up
hey,
on your computer, maybe?
I'll keep the airwaves busy while you guys are trying to figure that out. But if everybody can hear me, man, I appreciate it. I love the boys at Susquehanna Fish and Tackle. Obviously, we've been great friends for a long time, and it's really cool. It was cool to listen to them talk.
This is what
about
happens,
the
Pete.
Thousand Islands.
This is what happens here at SFT. Just hold on. I got you. I'll get you. I'll get you, bro. Hang on.
I know you.
Hang
will.
on. I'll get you.
Mike's on the job, man.
Uh,
You've become a producer extraordinaire. I can't believe it.
Everybody can hear you,
Not
but I
only do
can't
you
hear
win
you.
Major
Let's
tournaments.
see.
You have a fantastic tackle store operations, but you become a producer as well.
You there, Pete?
We'll let
He's talking.
I'm gonna try.
I know he is.
I'll keep talking. I'm gonna try coming in
Gotta be kidding.
over at the coming off my computer. I'll see if you guys can hear me any better. See if it's a problem from my end. So can you guys hear me any better now? No? Still got nothing.
Well,
All right, let's close that one out.
Oh, it is here. This is crazy.
All right.
That's a setting thing. Hold on.
So
Hang on, Pete. I got you, buddy. Hang on. I'm getting you.
all right. I'll keep talking until you
Shoot.
tell me you got my audio. I'll just keep rolling. But the Thousand Islands was a pretty awesome tournament for me. I really enjoyed it. I fished the Bassmaster Open up there prior to the BFL Super Tournament. So I fished the lake from one end to the other, from out there at Duck Island in Galoo all the way roughly. God,
To phone
it's
only.
got to be like 150 miles to the east, and everywhere in between. And but I fished during the Open tournament. I concentrated on the lake, and I ran 20 miles out.
Phone only.
Everything's right. Let's see if I can get Caitlin.
And
Call him in on the phone and forget the audio, the video.
Hold on, Pete. Keep talking. You're doing good. You're doing great. It's your show, Pete. It's your show. Just keep going. I'm going to work this out.
all right, you keep working. The so it was really interesting, guys, because and I'm gonna, when Mike and George get on board, I'm gonna dive in a little bit more. But out on the lake, I took my first dive into fishing with the Ned Rig, and this is brand new. This is the Little General, and there it is right there. It's the Max Scent. I was fishing out on the islands, and I had a really interesting experience out there because I saw some stuff a little differently than some of the other guys were seeing. But that's that rig right there.
Oh boy, that looks freaking awesome, Pete.
Yep. It's
I got like a
it's
tractor trailer load of them things on order.
well, I'm telling you right now, you got to get some. I caught maybe 40 bass a day, each day that I was out there. And what I found was it's similar to what you guys were just talking about, is that they were coming in schools. And when you're around the little ones, that's what you would catch. You'd be catching, 12 to 2.5 pounders. And then a weird phenomenon would happen is they would move. And it seemed like the big ones would just pile into the area, and they would be together, and you could catch, 4 to, I think I didn't quite break 6 pounds during the tournament, but I did at practice, and 4 to 5.5 pounders, and you'd be able to pick off several of those. Did not catch a lot of those. When they would come in, they'd be coming in wolf packs of like small groups, and that was my deal. I was catching them on a really, really heavy Ned Rig. This is a 1/2 ounce model. As a matter of fact, a lot of the how I wound up to this was I was taking the heaviest that I could find were 3/8 ounce, and it just wasn't enough. I'm fishing at 30 feet, 15 to 35 feet of water, and I couldn't get it down. So I was actually taking one of these VMC nail weights, and I was putting it in the Ned in kind of a tail weighted Ned, didn't matter, because what it did was it created that extra weight that I needed to get that bait to fall quick, fall erratic, and keep it down with the wind and the waves and all that crap that I have going on down there. So I'm anxious to, listen and hear from you guys. This is my first experience, first fish I've ever weighed in on a Ned. And they were coming off, man. I was losing them. And I started out with 8-pound test leader, and I just kept scaling up and shortening my leader, trying to get better hook penetration, trying to get these fish pinned into the boat. And I wound up landing on 12-pound Gamma Edge as my leader, and I was down to about 8-foot leader because I did not want much stretch. I wanted braid, short leader, and trying to keep those fish pinned, and that worked way better as far as getting those big ones. Because I can't tell you, I'm embarrassed to admit that the several 5-pound class fish didn't make it into my live well during the open. So I was struggling, quite a bit to get those fish pinned. So how are you guys doing it? What have you been using the heavy stuff? That the heavy Neds were something, and I can't wait to see what George and Mike have to say about the Neds. But the Ned heads, I'm looking for the heavyweights, the 3/8, the half ounce, those models. Are any companies coming out with those yet? Really interested. These guys, if anybody's going to know, it's going to be these guys. Because right now, I don't think there are. So in order to get me up there to where I want to be in that deep water, I think I've got to modify it, and I've got to add a few things to get those baits down. But so that was the Thousand Islands. One of the cool things about it was the lake is a pretty intimidating place to go fish. If how many of you guys have been on the big water? If you're from around this area where these guys are, I know you've made some trips up to Erie, St. Clair, Ontario, and the big water is intimidating. It's ferocious, and it growls, and the boat rides can be treacherous. So there's a few things that I've learned that have helped me over the years, and I hope they're going to help you, is to be slow. And I know
it was like you saw where it was going to go, but it took a long time to get there, didn't it?
It's like anything else, it took me 30 years to be an overnight success.
Yeah, exactly.
But
exactly.
I remember you guys were there. You guys were there on some of our first Bass Universities, and
yeah, we loved it.
Back before we even televised them or figured out how to film them and make them available to everybody. And a lot of those guys back then, George, crazy. We've had several elite anglers that have come through our program, as well as top MLF guys and FLW guys. They've come through our program. So we've got beginners to your weekend warriors to the highest level are coming through the program. So it's been a lot of work, but it's great to be where we're at right now, and we've got so many neat things coming down the road that we're excited about. So
it's
been a great program.
Very good, Pete. Very well done. Tip of the cap to you. But what we want to get into is the nuts and bolts of Pete Gluszek going out on the old BFL circuit after all these years and telling them young guns that the old dog still got a few tricks up his sleeve. I mean, because that's the way I see it, Pete. Because I remember when I was fishing back in the 90s, you were like a veteran then, man. You must be like 100 years old, dude. I don't know what's going on.
Oh,
George,
gosh.
George, isn't there like some
He just
kind
started
of,
young.
isn't there like some kind of story out there about Pete making the classic and winning an open without electronics on his boat or something like that? I mean,
Pete was a veteran in the 90s, man.
I mean, I'm just saying, I can't wait to hear some of these stories.
Pete, let me give you some
veteran.
Let me give you some introductions real quick, Pete. Here, so me, of course, Mike, George, and then Corbin's over there. Corbin, and then behind the camera is cameraman Nick Wink, with who you also. So you're going to get blasted with questions from everybody, but yeah, George is kind of tapping into something there, and that is you started in the mid '90s, correct?
Earlier than that,
yeah. Well, I started, in the '80s. I started federation fishing, but honestly, it was 95 was my first Bassmasters tournament, and it was on 1,000 Islands.
That was my first Bassmasters tournament too, Pete.
No
Kevin
kidding.
Van Dam won it.
I was in kindergarten.
I
was
right there,
using
Pete?
my Snoopy bobber.
Yep.
Am I right?
You are right.
Did he not win it on Jackson Flat in Chimo Bay?
Well, I can't be sure of that, but it depends, because Kevin, we learned on our show last night, has won 3 times on 1,000 Islands. So I don't know which one you fished. I fished the one in 95.
So did I.
Won again. Okay. Well, he won. I think it was on a Clown.
Yes, he did. He
Bomber.
He won it on a bomber flash. They called it a flash Clown. It was his own signature color with bomber, and of course, everybody and their brother had to have them. Now there was no internet back then, so we it was all going through the front door or the phone. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, and it's funny. I appreciate you bringing up how old I am. I always appreciate that. Back before I had a Minn Kota, I used to use a jib sail to control the boat down.
I thought you were sculling, Pete. I thought I saw you out there sculling on Point Pleasant at the mouth of Chimo Bay.
Right. I remember for real, coming out of the St. Lawrence in that tournament, because I was full of juice, thinking, all right, I'm going to make this my first tournament. I've never been to 1,000 Islands before, but I felt confident because I had caught some smallmouth. I was ready to go. But I remember coming out of the mouth of the St. Lawrence River using a compass to make my way out to Stony Island. No mapping, no GPS. I was working off of a compass and a navigational chart.
Well, don't you remember, Pete, back then we mounted the compasses on the front deck in front of the console.
Right.
We had the bigger compass because you couldn't see the little compass up on the console. So we took the big compass and we screwed it down on the front deck in front of the console. You remember that?
Yes, I do. Man.
Your boy Harvey Knight was the one that taught us how to run the big water.
He did. Harvey was he taught us how to drive in the big water. He taught us how to navigate it.
How to rig the boats.
Yep. I remember running out there, coming out of the river, and like I'm looking at the map, and it says there's an island out there, but you're going, and 5 or 10 minutes later, you still see nothing but blue. And then, you know, suddenly the trees pop up, and that was quite an intimidating experience, and I'll never forget it. And I was so excited. I thought, oh, here we go, man. I'm going to crack them. And I finished in 150th place in the tournament.
I think I finished in 151st place. I smashed them on day 2 at the mouth of Chameau Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But day 1, let's just say, my beginnings in the Bass Invitational world were not too auspicious. But day 2, I caught them pretty good at the mouth of Chameau Bay in about 6 footers on a jerkbait. And if you recall, you might have to think about it a minute, but day 2 of that tournament was some of the roughest damn water that a person should have been in an 18.5-foot boat with a 150 strapped on the back of it.
Well, I didn't go out in the big water in that tournament because I was still scared. I was scared to death of it. And,
so was I.
I ran. I thought you could win on largemouth. I was doing my research, and I saw Dusty Pine win, and you know, we saw Bo
Dowden.
Yeah, win. They're all largemouth guys. So I went in the Lake of the Isles trying to win the tournament there, which was not a good move. But
that was my day 1, was largemouth fishing. And it didn't go well. Day 2, I jumped in the boat with because you remember back then it was pro on pro, and the unwritten rule was on day 2 you kind of went with your pro that was doing better on day 1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I jumped in with Craig Vaughn from Richmond, Virginia, and we ran out to Point Pleasant at the mouth of Chameau in giant frickin' waves. We broke the trolling motor shaft in half on the ride out. He said he was on him on a spinnerbait. An hour later, we hadn't had a fish in the boat. I said, let's make one more drift, and I think we should throw a jerkbait. And my first cast with a gold blackback Rogue, I caught a 4-pounder on each hook.
Holy smokes.
The boat tipped up on its side on a giant roller. I grabbed the Rogue and threw him in the floor of the boat and broke the jerkbait in half. Craig Vaughn looked over at me. He goes, "You got another one of them?" Enough of that, Pete. Enough of that. Let's move on to the current universe.
Hey, well, let's talk about it because you guys saw me hold up the Little General, and I can't show it to you right now, but the Little General is the new Ned Rig, Ned bait from Berkeley, the Max scent. And I managed to beg, borrow, and steal from my contacts at Berkeley, and I got a few preliminary samples. And I caught every single fish in the open on that bait, and I was using a Ned Rig. Honestly, the first fish I've ever weighed in on a Ned Rig in a tournament.
No doubt.
Wow.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, Pete, we got a tractor trailer load of them on standby, so any day now. That's what they keep telling me.
Well, I'm telling you, the fish grab them. Like I was fishing off of my 2D sonar, and you would see the lasagna noodles on my Solix Humminbird Solix unit.
I love that.
They'd start lasagna noodling right under me, and I'd drop that Ned, and I'd get them. The thing about it was I needed a real heavy head, which I couldn't find. And the heaviest heads I could find were 3/8 ounce. And I was jamming these 1/8 ounce BMC nail weights in the Ned to get myself up to a 1/2 ounce.
That's pretty smart right there. I didn't have the ability to come up with that because my Ned was a little too light. I was just up the last couple days, Pete, fishing with Ryan Buttermore, who's the national sales manager for Megabass, and I couldn't get my Ned to get down there, and because we had a little bit of that Lake Ontario wind, if you know what I mean. I couldn't stand up, and I couldn't get my Ned to hit the bottom simultaneously, and that's a great tip right there.
That is.
What needs to happen is somebody needs to come out with that 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce head
Yeah.
Because you need to get under the boat, man, and you need to get down fast. When them lasagna noodles appear, I mean, they go away just as fast as they get there.
I freaking love it, man. Freaking Pete's up there fishing this tournament. Everybody's got like 3,000 graphs on their boat, and Pete's fishing 2D.
Well,
I love it. I freaking love it.
And the thing is, Mike, and I spent the last 3 days up there, and I was like focused on the graphs. And here's the deal. So you mark fish on 2D. They're obviously right underneath you.
Yeah.
You're looking at Panoptics, and you see fish over here. You're panning your trolling motor around. There's fish over there. The problem is they're 30 to 40 feet deep. The current's ripping this way. The wind's blowing this way. And you got to it's like shooting doves, man. You got to lead your target to get your freaking jig underneath the boat.
Yeah.
But if it happens, you get bit.
So I saw you holding up green pumpkin. So that was the deal for you, Pete? Green pumpkin?
Honestly, Mike, it didn't matter. I had 3 colors. I had some kind of goby color, which had some flakes in it.
Yeah.
I don't know what color it was because I ran out of those first.
Okay.
And then I had a green pumpkin pack and a pack of black.
Oh.
And I caught them equally well. I just would use a color till I run out and go to the next color and just keep catching them, you know. And it you know what, I ran out to the island, so the wind blew a little bit. It you know, some days it took me an hour and a half, hour and 45 to get out there. And
a little bit.
Other days, other days I could make it a little quicker. But I was experiencing a lot of fish. Like I was catching about 40 a day.
Wow.
And what I experienced was the fish would come through in schools. Like you'd get on those little guys, the 12 to 2 pounders,
mm-hmm.
and then seems like a wolf pack of big ones would come in and just push them out, and then you get access to like those 4 to 5.5 pounders.
Wow.
And you could catch a couple of those, and I mean, it was sick, man. I caught 19.5 pounds a day and did not get a check.
I know. Tournament. Isn't that crazy? That is absolutely crazy,
it's
man.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
But that's fun catching. That's fun catching all those fish, though.
I'm listening. I need help because I lost 3 big ones and several others on that Ned Rig. I really trying to find the magic combination of hooks, because the ones some hooks were like a gaff. Some of them were a little light wiry.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't find the magic one that, man, it was automatic where I'd catch everyone.
Yeah.
And the big ones, especially, man, their jaws were so strong. They open their mouth and let that thing go right at the surface. And, man, that hurt. That broke your heart a little bit.
Oh, man.
So I'm all ears, man. Somebody got the Ned Rig figured out. I want to hear it, you know?
Well, you know, if you look at the Z-Man heads, you know, they have the regular head,
which is light wire.
That's no good for up there.
No, that won't work.
Pro Shrooms.
Then they have, as Corbin says, they have the Pro Shrooms, which is 1X bigger and 1X heavier, and it's a Mustad black nickel needle point. Now that one there,
that has a 2.0 hook in it.
That has a 1.0 hook in it.
Oh, 1.0.
But it has 1X heavier wire.
Right.
But the other thing about it is it only goes up to 1/3 of an ounce, which is a little heavier than a quarter.
Yeah.
Ain't gonna work.
No.
Because like I said, I was like shooting doves, man. I had this thing in my hand, and I'm thinking 20-mile-an-hour southeast wind, current. I'm throwing over here.
All right, we're gonna start.
You know what I mean?
We're gonna start coming up with a mold, Pete. We're gonna work on that for you.
All right, I want to participate. Let me help out, Mike. Man, I'll give you some feedback. We need that one.
Yep.
But that BMC, that nail weight helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
It got down real fast.
What a great idea!
Yeah, that is a great idea.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked. It got me to fish, but I tell you this, I had a little tougher time closing out that Angler of the Year title over there at the BFL, because I put all my eggs in the Lake Ontario basket for practice and coming, and I knew it. I wasn't, remember Taco when he won the Elite, man, he was on the school 5-pounders. He just drove to him, dropped down and caught him.
Yeah.
I wasn't on anything like that. You had to hunt and pet.
Yeah.
To get the big one. So I didn't think running from Messina to one of the islands was going to be a move for me. So the first day of the tournament on the BFL Super Tournament, I was looking at the river for the first time,
Oh,
And,
jeez. Are you serious?
And you know, I got some tips. Like Ike had done good in the river, and he gave me some good starting spots. And man, I just struggled and struggled. And they put the 15-inch limit on the BFL.
Right.
So I did catch some 12-inch, 14-inch fish that were of no help. And
Right.
And I'm like, it's getting to be 2:00 in the afternoon, and I have zero in the live well. And I kept trying to look for fish in that 15 to 30 foot zone. We had about a 20-mile-an-hour wind. And what do you do when you got wind blowing on rocky points?
Yeah, buddy, get that blade out.
You pick up that spinnerbait and you go. And I made 5 casts with a Terminator spinnerbait, the one I got right here. You can't see, but it's got chartreuse blades. It's got a chartreuse and white blade.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a half ounce. I made 5 casts. I put a 3.5 pounder in the boat that sealed the deal for me for the AOI.
Yes, sir.
And I caught one more nice one, and then I had to go in. So you know, it was a great save. You know, not a great tournament, but a great save, and I was real pleased about that.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah.
I like those kind of stories, Mike.
I do too. You know, just kind of like you don't want to make that because that's a long ass run, man.
Yeah. Well, I was driving. I mean, can you? It would have taken me an hour and a half to get to the lake, and then at least another 40 minutes to get out to where I wanted to fish.
Oh man, that's crazy.
And the wind was blowing, so it would have been closer to 3 hours round trip.
Yeah.
What direction was the wind blowing, Pete?
It was a southwest 15 to 20.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
I just attempted a southeast 15 to 20, and
yeah, but you went to the wrong spot in the lake.
I rinsed the carpets off real good. And the bilge pump does work.
When it blows that way, you don't go to the you don't go down to the
Well,
east.
but
east
the
shore
weatherman said it was going to blow northeast.
Oh, whatever.
But he was off by 180 degrees, so I know what Pete's saying.
Well, that's great, Pete. I mean that doing that you can say what you want about the BFLs, but that's a competitive bunch of freaking guys.
Oh, it's tough.
It is tough. And you went out and did it, and now you're qualified for the regional tournament down on the Potomac. How do you feel about that?
Man, I'm excited. It's tough down there. I saw the Toyota Series is going on this week, and 17 pounds is leading it.
Yeah, but look how many guys are struggling down there. It's like really bad.
Oh yeah, the weights are incredibly low, and it's difficult and challenging, and I like that. That's in my favor. And I fished the Toyota down there last year and did very well in that tournament. And it's going to be. Here's the thing about the Potomac, man. You guys have been down there. Yeah. It has had a crawfish explosion like I have never seen on any body of water in the history of the world. Like the crawfish are crawling across wood on the surface. They're everywhere. You go into a grass mat, hit your trolling motor, and the crawfish scoot out of the way like case fish.
And they're red as can be.
And the red.
Yeah.
And so I think it's that in combination with all the heavy grass down there.
Yeah.
I think it makes it really tough to pin down the fish and get an ambush spot.
Yeah.
But I love the Potomac. I've had a lot of good success down there.
Yeah.
I've never been to the All-American. I've never been to a BFL regional.
Wow. There you go. It's all new territory for you.
Wow.
Yeah. This is the first full season of BFLs I've ever fished.
Oh, wow.
Year.
Damn. And look, Angler of the Year. Oh, I just did that.
Yep.
Bam.
Out of retirement. Yep.
Bam.
Check it off the list.
Just did that.
Pete, you gotta get to that All-American, because the All-American, if you go out down the All-American and win the All-American, I mean, that's like putting a cherry on top of your career. You know what I'm saying?
I love it, and I'm excited about the opportunity. Hopefully it goes that way. I mean, it's been great, dude. Like the first 2 tournaments were on the flat. I love, my backyard.
Sure.
I worked down there.
Wheelhouse.
So I did pretty good in those tournaments. And the next one was on Champlain, which I just came off a Toyota Series up there. And so I was kind of prepared for that one. And I did great. I was fishing all largemouth. the guys make fun of me about the black Senko.
I know.
But that black Senko carried me through Champlain.
That son
all
of
the
a
way.
bitch has paid off to you big time. How many freaking times? I mean, you won on Cayuga.
Yeah.
BASS Open, I think it was.
On a black
That's
Senko.
right.
On a blank Senko. We remember
without
that like it was
electronics.
yesterday. And you went to the Classic on that black Senko. So you could tell all those people to kiss
Well, I can
Yeah.
tell you something else.
Huh?
Years ago, I was up fishing what's now called the Toyota Series on Champlain, and I had a few fish going, but nothing great. And I saw Pete, and I said, "Hey, man, these freaking largemouth are driving me crazy." And he goes, "Dude, black jig, black trailer, flip grass." I went out the next day,
And whacked them.
and the dean put it
Oh,
together
yeah.
for me, man. I was out. I flipped the jig for the next 4 days.
Well, let me tell you something.
But I don't know what it is about black and that crystal clear water.
I throw that black Senko in my wife's tub. That's how damn good that thing is, man. She'll be in there in the tub. I'm flicking freaking Senkos in there. Hell yeah.
I don't know. Tommy Biffle did a commercial like that.
What, Mikey, you flipping the old heavy 7-Up on that, or you going with the full wacky? I'm just asking.
Well,
don't
you
know.
know.
Ever since that
Do
day,
they
all
make
them
one
years
bigger?
ago,
And anyway, this is a kid show.
Love it. I love the black. I'm telling you, there's something about black, and I don't know what it is, George. Back
You're right.
then, I kind of ran into it,
Yeah.
but it's like the absence of color, and in that clear, it's so visible. They bite it like crazy. The smallmouth bite it too,
Yeah.
and you know, it's been a great day. As a matter of fact, I paired up with Dustin Lucas on Champlain in an open, I guess, or an FLW. He was a co-angler. And we actually had a brilliant day. We both had 20 plus pounds that day. And I was using a straight black jig with a straight black Senko combo to catch my fish that day. But since then, that little influence that I had that day with him, he made sure that Berkeley produced straight black
Yeah.
in the general and other baits.
Yep.
And I take full credit for that. However, I get no residual.
Yeah.
that ain't right. That ain't right, yo.
Give me 5 cents a pack. That's all I would negotiate for, or maybe even like
Well,
2.5 cents. I'd
no-
be cool with that.
No bullshit. I'm straight up telling you. I don't know how many years ago that was, and Pete told me to take a black jig. He said get a 3/4 ounce black jig with a black chunk.
Yeah.
And go back over there to St. Albans Bay.
Oh yeah.
And Lappin's Bay. He said, go back over where you're fishing and flip back grass. And I went over there the next day, and it was like
a different lake.
I mean, I was. You never see me dance much, but
Yeah.
I was dancing.
Yeah. Hey Pete, I'm going to ask you something. So for Angler of the Year, tell me how you finished in each tournament to get to the Angler of the Year.
The first tournament was on the flats, and I narrowly missed the paycheck there.
Okay.
So I was just ounces out, and then I went on a top 10 flurry.
Okay.
I took 9th at the next one on the flat. I
Ooh.
took 4th place at Champlain.
Okay.
I followed that with a 5th place on Cayuga,
Okay.
Nice.
and then
That was
in
tough.
And this last tournament was I had a 50-point lead going into the last day,
Right.
or on the AOY race. So I had kind of a cushion, and I needed it
Yeah.
because I finished 50th place at the super tournament.
Oh.
And you had a freaking hammer behind you, Michael Duarte, and he's a tough cookie.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a battle, but I just things went my way. I got to tell you this one about Champlain, and I went largemouth fishing, and once again using a black Senko, but guys don't realize how I rig it. And a lot of times, like on Cayuga, I was rigging it with a 3/4 ounce peg,
Yeah.
VMC flipping
You're
weight.
not supposed
right?
to say that, bro. You're supposed to keep that down on the down low.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, on,
It's out. It's out.
It's out.
it's out there. And on Champlain, I was flipping wood amongst the grass and any kind of blowdowns that I could find. And I was flipping this full size blowdown that was fresh, and I threw my 1/2 ounce Senko in there, and I got the bite. 15 minutes later, we wrangled out of this tree a 5-pound, 7-ounce bass.
Wow.
I mean, George, it was crazy. I mean, my partner was up there helping me. Thanks so much. I had my net out. I was breaking limbs, and we pulled the whole boat into the tree. We were doing everything we could. And then finally, just when you're about to give up she comes, big mouth, big belly,
Wow.
the biggest fish of the tournament. So that was cool. That was a really cool deal.
That is really cool, Pete.
And it happened at Cayuga. So at Cayuga now, I'm up there and I'm fishing docks. This part of my day, I'm fishing docks. And I was fishing deep grass and docks as a combination, like I did to win there years ago. And I'm fishing a dock, and I recognized that you had to skip so far back to be able to get the bite that you couldn't. If you saw the fish, they saw you. You couldn't get them to bite. So I'm way back under this dock as far as you can go under the walkway, and I get the bite, and I set. And this is big credit to Gamma. I'm using 10-pound Gamma, 15 Gamma Torque with a 16-pound Gamma Edge leader.
Oh,
That's my. All right, I'm using a spinning rod. So you think I'm sissy fishing, but I'm actually powered up, and I got the bite, and I set, and all I can do is hold, and I'm wrestling this fish. He comes out, goes around one wood piling, gets round a metal piling. You know how tough they are to get.
Well, plus there's zebra muscles on all of them.
And then the fish comes out in the open water, and it's the biggest Cayuga bass I've ever seen. And I can't believe it. And he makes a run under the boat and just handcuffs me. The line, the cast, and everything holds up. We get him into the net. It's a 6-pound, 1-ounce bass.
Wow.
And he's captured. And I'm thrilled. And I thought, man, this is another lunker. Are you kidding me? And
wow.
It's a fish I probably shouldn't have caught. And I go down maybe a half hour later, and I'm sitting on 20 pounds. I got a 2-pounder in the box.
Oh, wow.
And I skip under another real complex dock. I get the same bite, and I get this fish through the gauntlet of death. Over this rail, around this piling,
cross brace,
over everything. This fish comes out. He's 5 pounds. There's nothing between me and the fish in open water now. The fish does a weird, simple underwater somersault of some kind.
Don't even say it.
Unpinned. Not broke unpinned.
Oh, man.
That's 23-pound bag gone.
Oh, shit.
That was potentially the winning fish, and I lost it. But I can't complain. It was a great event, great tournament,
Yeah.
And it was tough fishing, Pete. I mean, that was a tough tournament.
Yep.
By all accounts,
really
most people struggled mightily in that tournament.
Well, I got up there. I practiced on Friday, and I went to the easy grass beds to look for, all right, well, in years past, I always can catch a limit here, and there wasn't grass for miles. The Army Corps had come in and knocked the grass out completely in a lot of sections in the north end.
Yeah. I can't believe they did that. That's unprecedented for New York.
No, it's not.
It made everybody struggle. Like the fish, I don't think it killed the fish. That I've just seen it before. When they kill that grass, those fish get weird, man.
Yeah.
They do,
get
Mike.
Really hard to catch.
Remember that time we were fishing St. Albans Bay and the guy came in with the lawnmower?
I mean, I could see lawn
and mowed up all the grass.
Yeah, I could see lawn mowing it.
The frickin' fish
that's
was
not
done.
what they did up there. They sprayed it, and they Pete.
I don't. I think that they sprayed it. Yeah, the Army Corps sprayed it.
Cameraman Nick, what do you got?
They did both.
They did both.
Yeah, they were actually while we were there fishing on the lower end of the lake. They were also cutting.
Oh, they were. Yeah.
They run that.
I don't mind when
when
they cut. I don't
know. Turn the fish off for us.
I know, but that was while they were doing it. You can come back the next day; they were all settled back in there, and you can flip them up. But that's spraying shit, man. That's just
only if you have a black
screws
jig.
it all up.
Oh,
but you know what? Funny thing about that, Pete, was like 2 weeks later, they had a big tournament up there, and the fish came back around and finally set back up, and they whacked them.
Oh man, I believe it.
Yeah,
I was a buddy of mine fishes up there in the spring, and I've never been fortunate enough to do that. But he's telling me weights that I'm like, you're lying. That's not possible.
Yeah. And they're smallmouth.
Smallmouth, 25, 26
Yeah.
pound bags of smallmouth up there in the springtime.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Place is crazy.
the guys, when they killed that grass, the guys that did really well went super shallow. They went like less than 2 feet of water, and they caught them. The freaking guys caught them in less than 2 feet of water. They caught big bags, 20-pound bags.
I gotta say, that was me. I mean, I don't think I caught it. I caught one smallmouth off of a grass point in about 10 feet. But all other fish that I caught that day were, they were a foot to 2 feet of water.
Super shallow. Seemed to be the bite for that.
What a great call, man.
Hey, Pete, we always got great guys chiming in here at Tackle Shop Live, and Mike Barr's checking in with us. Andre Albanez is always here with us. Scott Luckoff, Jamie Johnson, Patrick Carey, Robert Bretz, Mark from Lisa Lake Fishing Club, always a great guy, always checking in with us. Irod, Michael Kelly, how you, buddy? Jim Price, they all love you, Pete. These are all people that just freaking love you, man. This is like the Pete Gluszek show right here.
I love
Greg, Todd Albright, how you doing? Hey, you tell Parker, Todd, that was that. Let me tell you a quick story on this real quick. This is the greatest story I think ever. I was fishing on the river, and it was fishing a creek, and there was a couple boats in there, and this one boat pulled up beside me, and it was a father, a grandfather, and a kid, maybe 6, 7 years old, maybe
little guy.
Yep. And we were talking, and I said, listen, man, they're on this Ned Rig bite, and I said, just go right above here and drag it around, and you guys will catch them. And this kid was like, all right, man, we're going to do that. So they rigged all this stuff up, and this kid's fishing. And I was having a great time because I had my kids with me, Zoe and Caitlin and her husband, David. And we were catching them on these Ned rigs, and they weren't big fish, but it was fun. It was just a fun day.
Yeah.
And we're saying, man, I'd like to see that kid catch one. I'd like to see that kid. We were all talking about it. We'd like to see this kid catch one. Well, Parker cast it out, and he starts dragging this Ned rig around, and he catches like a 2-pounder, and he's fighting this thing, and he is screaming, Pete. He is screaming like, he's on this, man. He's like, yeah, I got this fish. He's like telling his dad, and he gets it up there, and they net it and put it in the boat, and he's just high-fiving, jumping around, hollering. And it was just such a great moment. Me and my in our boat, we were just laughing and clapping, and it was a super great moment. So
feel good.
That was Parker and his granddad. He was out, and that was great to see that. So he's saying hi to everybody. So we have Don Roeder's here. He's up. Don Roeder's up at Thousand Island right now. And he's been catching them good up there. John Kopp, Joseph, how you doing? Jerry Ray Schroeder. Hey, Jerry, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, man. So we have a great bunch of people that check in with us every week, Pete. They're very loyal people, and they all love you to death.
Well, it's mutual, and I know you got a great shop, and I wanted, you brought up Thousand Island. I wanted to mention something. I'm so thankful. You guys know Mike Sensor. I'm sure you.
Oh yeah,
Mike.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And he had a really bad wreck on his way home from Messina at Thousand Island after having a brilliant tournament. I think he finished third, fourth.
Yeah, he was up there. I think it was 4th place. He did really well.
And he did, and largemouth on day 2.
Oh, really?
Wow. Or not. Had a pair of like 5-pounders.
Oh my gosh.
Unreal. But amazing. He's coming home. He's on 476, on 40 minutes from home. And there was a bad wreck right in front of him. And he gets into the far left-hand lane to get around it with his brand new skeeter.
Oh.
And a tractor trailer did not see or react to what was going on and rear-ended him at 70 miles an hour.
Oh no!
And,
is he all right?
And drove that Yamaha right through the skeeter, right into the bed of his truck.
Oh,
and thank goodness, all parties walked away. Mike walked away. He had a concussion. and he's doing better. I saw him just the other day. Want to wish him well.
Yeah.
I know he's back to work as if nothing even happened, you know.
Oh man.
But
man, thank God.
Yeah, thank God he got through that. When I saw some images of the transom just getting smashed.
Oh my gosh.
But man,
well, you can always get a new boat, right, Pete?
Exactly. You always get a new boat, and you can't replace Mike's Centaur. So
no,
you know,
well,
glad you made it okay, Mike.
Yeah.
So glad we'll get you back in a new boat in no time.
That's right,
yeah.
Mike.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So Pete, I'm gonna change little things up for you here. I'm gonna ask you some questions here. One of my questions is, what's your, because this is great, because this kind of goes into what you were talking about. What's your feelings on the electronics nowadays?
Well, I tell you what, I love them. I'm in the camp. I've got 360, and I got some new Navionics chips for me to use out on Lake Erie and Thousand Island, and it was just phenomenal. I don't have the forward-facing sonar, which I'm scheduled to get. I've seen guys use it. I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. Of course, you know, I had chatterbaits in my boat for 2 years before I threw them, so I'm usually late to the party on things, and I'm late on the forward-facing sonar. So you know, I don't know. I'm for it. You know, it helps me catch fish. I'm into it. I can't wait to use it. I think if I'd have had it up on Thousand Islands, I might have been able to target those big fish better than I was able to. I wonder, you know. But I've heard bad stories about guys chasing ghosts on the forward-facing sonar, you know, chasing fish they can't catch. But I don't know. That's where I'm at with it, Mike. Man, I think it's a really cool, innovative thing, and I'm really looking forward to trying it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's like, oh man, they have all this electronics, and this is what's making the sport so much easier, and this is why they're catching all these fish. So me and George this year, we put on everything, and we got, you name it, we got it. It looks like some kind of spaceship when we launch it, you know. and
George is sponsored by all 3 electronics companies. Just
Yeah,
asking, Pete.
did you, Pete?
And the funny thing is that, you know, I felt like we're fishing this little tournament circuit local here because that's the only time we get to fish. And I felt like, you know, for 2 tournaments, we did really well because of the electronics, you know, because we had this 360 unit on there that allowed us to see things that we don't normally see. And I really feel like that's why we did well. That's why we caught those fish. And it was a direct relationship to how we finished. However, the 27 other times we went out,
well, yeah,
and fished.
Well, Corbin, in the words of Lee Corso,
Which one?
not so fast, my friend.
Not so fast.
It's not a gimme. It's not a like turn the things on and fish jump in the boat.
So we're big fans of the Panoptics, Pete. I know at one point in time you were a Garmin guy. I'm not sure whose brand you're running these days. Back when you won that Open, I mean, the Smithsonian Institute wanted you to send your electronics down for their display.
What electronics? I had no electronics.
I'm just saying, you know, they needed something for the history of the. I think it was going to be.
He had a green box under the.
It was going to be Daryl Lawrence's green box, and then Pete's graphs off of his boat for the win.
Oh, yeah. or David Fritz's flasher.
Yeah. I guarantee you.
Sorry, Pete.
He had it all piled underneath the thing. He takes it off. See, he unplugs it all and puts it under his deck.
Sorry, Pete.
Hey, you know what? I'm, you know, at one time I was the rookie, you know, so now I'm getting comfortable in the role of the team, you know.
Yeah.
So
you should.
That's cool. You know, I said it before. When youth leaves, may wisdom be enough.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And, applause.
Yeah.
Well,
so we've got that going. But let me take you back to that Cayuga tournament.
No graphs.
I had no graphs. I everything fried. I had some kind of surge come through the boat, and I lost everything.
Oh, wait a minute,
And
Pete. Did you look at your boat recently? Not the one you have now, but the one you had then. That whole boat had a surge going through it.
it had a little age on it.
I remember there was a couple spots on there that had caution tape around them. Do not step here.
Hey, you got to play hard.
Yeah.
But so I had in my truck, I had an old unit that had like a 4-inch screen that had a sunspot on it that occupied the vast majority of the screen. So and I rigged it up, and you could tell how deep the water was and whether or not there was grass directly under the boat. It was like using a flasher. I swear, it's just like using a flasher.
Pete Fritz.
And
Yeah, right.
but
Right.
I learned a monumental lesson in that tournament, and I want to say it because guys listening, I've seen guys make this tragic mistake. I've seen guys when they can't get their mapping to upload, they sit at the boat launch for 3 hours trying to fix it. Instead of thinking about fishing, instead of just making an adjustment and
fishing your ability, fishing the ability.
Fishing. So I recognized in that tournament that I couldn't fish offshore because I couldn't mark waypoints. So I said, okay, what do I have available to me? I can fish close to the bank where I can triangulate and I can get to waypoints and I can fish shallow. Those are the things in my wheelhouse that led me right to the winning fish.
Wow.
And
I love it.
Yeah.
So
that's a great analogy right there.
Guess what? Lake Oneida is like the Bermuda Triangle for me. At Lake Oneida, I swear, whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and I have never failed to finish above half in the field in Lake Oneida. I've always in the bottom. I love New York, love all the lakes. That lake sucks. It should be drained.
That's your nemesis.
Never go there again.
That's your nemesis.
Yeah, but anyway, it's got my number. I'm going to Lake Oneida. Guess what happened? I'm coming from Champlain, where I smashed my trolling motor into the rock, and it's smashed. So I got to go to the service cruise, and Minn Kota fixes me up, but I don't have the right transducer. So once again, I have no sonar.
Oh no!
And no sonar in my boat. So I decide what am I going to be able to do? I pick up my flipping stick. And I decide to go about Lake Oneida. I'm not going to chase schools of smallmouth. I'm going to flip them.
Yeah.
On day 2, I caught a 411 and a 4.4 on back-to-back casts.
Wow.
On Lake Oneida. And I scored
they're big fish on Lake Oneida.
Yeah.
15th place finish, which is I finally got a little bite out of Lake Oneida for the first time ever.
Wow.
And I did it with no depth up at the front.
That was a brutal tournament.
So that's a great point. Ladies and gentlemen, for the guys who have the older units and haven't upgraded and you're all worried, I gotta keep up with the Joneses. I gotta keep buying these. Well, here you have it. You can use your ability.
Yeah.
Your fishing ability that everybody has.
Your instincts.
Your instincts, exactly. And you can make things happen. You can catch fish. I mean, you can catch fish no matter what. It's nice to have that stuff, but you don't need it to catch fish. You don't need it to do well. As Pete is,
don't let it ruin your fishing trip when you're going out on the weekend with your buddies.
Exactly.
And the solar's not working.
Right.
Just find a way.
Right.
Adapt and overcome.
Greg Hackney on Bass University, like 3 years ago, when Panoptics first came out. And the first years of that, he said, it's never been a better time to be a shallow water fisherman.
Yeah.
Because
everybody's offshore.
Yep.
Everybody's offshore.
Yep.
And John Cox, look at what he's doing on the bank.
Yeah.
And
exactly. Exactly.
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Valid points by the dean, Mike.
I guarantee you, man. I just love that kind of conversation because and that's why I asked you about electronics, because it's always electronic. This is so electronics driven, and I get it. I totally get it. And if you can afford it, that's great. Go ahead and do it. But it's not going to make you a better fisherman overnight. We've had 2 experiences where they actually helped us. But we've had 27 or 28 different experiences where it was, it was just fishing, it was like looking at something, but nothing was happening, So, just remember that, guys, you don't have to have the big rigs.
I mean, there's been numerous times, and as stated earlier, I just spent 3 days up on the Thousand Islands and Lake Ontario with our good friend Ryan Buttermore from Megabass.
Yeah,
and we ran a Helix 10 with down sonar 2D, and we ran a Garmin with forward facing. And for those of you who have used these graphs, forward facing and the other 360s, you know what I'm about to say. It's no gimme.
It's not a gimme.
It's no gimme. I probably saw 300-400 fish a day on that Panoptics that I couldn't even get bit. I mean, it was one of my tougher trips up there, and I've been fishing up there a long time. This was one of my tougher trips. I mean,
That's because Pete was up there catching them all.
I know. He sort-mouthed everything. But, to the big conversation in electronics is, that it's ruining the sport. It's making it too easy. I say whoever says that does not own forward-facing sonar.
Exactly.
Yep.
Cameraman Nick.
Tricky.
It's so interesting what you guys are saying, because I've heard you talk before about this, and from what the dean's saying here, it almost sounds like for the average guy like myself that's a weekend angler, buys all this electronics, has it all, starts to rely on it almost too much. It'd almost be good to go out fishing every once in a while and just turn that stuff off and make sure you're honing in your natural skills every once in a while.
Well, Mike and I did that earlier this year. We had loaned our boat out to a very good friend of ours who's a guide on the river.
Yeah, and it never powered up. And
this gentleman had a couple guide trips back to back, and he had some boat issues.
It was me, everybody.
Wait a minute.
I ran the boat with no electronics. I never even powered them up.
Yeah.
And,
you see him backpedaling?
Yeah.
And I found all these broken off black hair jigs. And I said to myself, Mikey, did Pete leave a present for you? Because the last time he was in your boat at the mouth of the Juniata, you said he broke off like 100 hair jigs or something like that. Remember that?
It was bad. It was a bad spot.
Yeah. Well, we had a good day that day, didn't we, Pete?
Yeah, we did.
I mean, the river was at flood stage.
He doesn't even remember that. He doesn't even remember.
He's being good.
Wait.
I remember how clear the water was, and the main river was toast, and that's why we went there.
Yeah.
It was the only place that had some clarity. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we caught some fish, but Pete, to this day, I don't know if you remember this, but to this day, I talk about that big giant log that came up out of the water right next to the boat. It was like some kind of Jurassic Park thing, came up out of the water like it's 12 or like 20 feet in the air and did this roll right next to us. And me and you were like, what the hell is that? And it was this giant, but the river was at like 16 feet that day.
Yeah, and I ran.
It was rolling.
It was rough.
It was rolling, but me and Pete ended up catching some fish and had a good time.
The point of my story is after Corbin broke all the graphs on our boat,
without ever touching them, by the way, Pete, or turning them on.
The next few trips out, Mike and I just fished.
Yeah,
I said,
we
never fished with this stuff.
We never had this stuff,
and we had some slammer days of fishing.
We fished great, and
so I mean, you know what?
Natural.
I can see both sides of the argument, having come up through the progression of electronics myself.
I do too. I think it'll work really good for you, but you always got to make sure that your natural ability doesn't get hampered and your gut instincts don't get, pushed down to where you're relying on this stuff and you can't fish. Like Pete's saying,
right?
Pete still has that natural ability. He still had the gut instincts to make the right decisions and to think the problem through and to go out and catch fish. And that's why he's Pete Gluszek, the dean. That's why he does what he does. He makes those decisions on the water.
That's a great point. And I have a great customer. We do on water training at Bass University, and and I work with a bunch of guys, and there's one customer who has all the sonar, didn't want to hook up his forward-facing sonar until he learned how to use 2D, how to use down imaging and side imaging, and understand the complexities of those units. And once he gets that, then he wants to move into the next, the next phase, which is forward facing. So I applaud him for that.
I do too.
Absolutely.
Don't let it kill your day. It's interesting. There's so many ways to win, and you have to fish. This is another Dean comment, right? This is going to be a big one. You got to identify your strength as an angler. One of the things that I did, and it was monumental for me, is I went back through all my tournaments and I looked at all my top finishes, top 10s or wins, and I wrote down what techniques I was using to accomplish that,
right?
And even looked at practice, and I learned I'm really good at flipping. Like when I am able to find that flipping bite, I often do well in the tournament.
Yeah.
So it changes, the way you look at things, and you start practicing and preparing for the what's in your wheelhouse,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I look for the flipping bite now.
Yep.
And it's even helped me even further. So identify your strengths. We have a Bass University house at Oneida, and it's like the who's who. We had Ike and Ellie, we had Brian Schmidt, me, and some of our co-anglers, and another one, our friend John McGraw. But the three of us, me and Schmidt and Ike, all did extremely well in the tournament.
Cameras.
Ike finished. He targeted massive schools of smallmouth, and he did the best of us. But that's what he did. Schmidt used forward-facing sonar and targeted isolated pieces of cover. And I put a blindfold on and went flipping down the bank. And all three of us did really well in the tournament. Each one of us had a chance to win that tournament.
See, there you go. There you go.
kind of all fish your strengths, Pete. If you think about it, you kind of all fish your strengths. Your strength is with a flipping stick. Brian Schmidt fishes for rockfish every day of his life.
Mm-hmm.
He's out in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay, and he's surviving on various electronics to find the bait, therefore finding the fish. And I mean, I can't really speak to Ike because his strengths are kind of like everything. But
right?
I'm sure,
yeah, but
I'm
on
sure
that body of the water, he's always good on the offshore.
I know, but his strengths are everything.
Yeah.
He probably had a sub strength within what he found.
Hey, Pete.
Plus, it was brutal.
Where's Schmidt on the Potomac tournament? He's
got like 11 pounds or something like that.
He what?
He didn't get a big bite today. He's got like 11 pounds or something like that.
That's a good bag now.
Wonder where that put him.
Like,
that's got to have him in the top 20.
I'm sure he's in striking distance.
That's in good. That's in good position.
Yeah.
JT at 2 fish.
Good position. Real good position.
Yeah. Ike had 14 pounds and is in 4th or 7th place.
Oh wow!
Right, what Schmidt have? 11.
11
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So he could be in the top 25.
Yeah.
You know what? You can't win the tournament on day one, but you can lose it on day one. I would say he's in pretty good position.
All right, Pete. We're going to switch.
Well,
go ahead. Can
Pete.
I? Yep.
Can
go
I
ahead.
say something real quick, Mike?
Yep. Absolutely.
I don't want to interrupt your agenda.
No.
But really,
You're never going to do that. You're never going to insult me or interrupt me ever.
It'll give you a time to have another beer. I'm fishing with Schmidt was awesome. It's the first time I roomed with him, and he's an incredibly positive, encouraging person to be around.
I bet.
Which I knew Brian. Brian has done some work for Bass University, and obviously he's a tremendous champion and winner. But I really like that about him. Like he seemed to go out of his way to encourage me when I was suffering with electronic problems, and helping me, decide that I could probably win that tournament. And as well, he did the same thing for Ike. But I gotta say, Ike is tricky to be around. because Ike has never had a bad practice day. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Yeah, I imagine that. Right.
I mean, it is tough because you come in and you're like, oh my God, I got 2 bites today. They weigh 2 pounds.
Yeah.
And Ike's like, well, I found 17 schools.
Yeah.
You know? And you're like, God almighty.
I would not want to live with that at all.
Yeah, Schmidt is a very positive guy. He's kind of like our cameraman Nick, who is like
The most positive.
the most
person in the
positive.
world.
I mean, this guy has just about had everything go wrong that can
Yeah.
go wrong in his tournament season, and he's just.
With everything.
I mean, I'd be
And he's
kicking.
like, well,
I'd be walking down the middle of the street kicking rocks and saying, "What the hell?"
I'm giving this up. And old Nick's there. He's like, well, you know, my boat's falling apart. The shit's all bad. My you know, I don't know. They don't want to. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to sink. I can't use it. But that's all right. Let's, you know, we'll catch him. We'll fix it next time. You know, it'll be all good. It's going to be all good. And I'm like, damn it, Nick.
Hey, you guys aren't lying.
Well, there's a lot to be said about a PMA when it comes to bass fishing.
Yeah,
Dean
absolutely.
ordering us around.
So Pete, keep things moving here. One of the things I want to ask you about is your feelings on a couple of things here, and one of them is, what's your feelings on the Major League Fishing? What's going on there?
Are you trying to stir up controversy?
No. We're not going down that path.
I don't want to stir any controversy, but I just want to know what's your feelings on Major League Fishing, because I'm going to ask you the next question is what's your feeling on bass, and I'm going to ask you the next question and what's your feelings on the BFLs.
Okay. Well, let's go into MLF. You know, MLF. I've like this Lake St. Clair tournament. I was able to watch some of it, and one of the things I thought was so cool was how largemouth played in the Wesley Strader, and I think Andy Morgan. I didn't get to watch Andy fish, but I watched Wesley fish.
Oh yeah,
and it was
great.
awesome.
It was awesome.
Dominated, punching mad, and
it was so cool.
I don't know what
man.
else he was doing. He was catching all largemouth on a place where you could never ever win any other kind of tournament doing that. You know,
Andy Morgan caught his fish. He
was
knockout
fishing,
knockout day. He was largemouth fishing, and it was
boat
very
problems
impressive.
The last day, I think.
Yeah, Rojas and Ish were both frogging.
Yep.
Ish caught a couple giants.
Yeah, it opened up some patterns that I didn't expect to play, and nobody did. So we got to see some cool things. So it's fun to watch all that stuff. I'm a fan of fishing, so I like to watch it. And when I can fit it in, when I fit it in, I watch it. What was the other question?
Okay. You really beat around the bush on that one, man. I just was wondering, I was just wondering your take on the Major League Fishing format and the guys that are fishing it and how they're, how it changed the playing field for bass fishing and the split, because we had a split here in the federation stuff that was, I think, devastating. When FLW came along and started the FLW side of the federation, and then Bass was still there. I think it devastated the amateur ranks of fishing for a long time, and I don't think it still has recovered because it's so split up, and the tournaments are so shattered, I guess. So I didn't know if you had anything to say about do you see that when they started Major League Fishing, you see like a big change in what the format, or do you see a big change in the playing field now?
Well, it's interesting because when MLF, basically, recruited all the top talent over, and we didn't know what was going to happen. But I'm just going to shoot straight on this. But when MLF went against Bassmasters,
Yeah.
and the televised stuff,
Yeah.
I wanted to watch the Bassmasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a combination of things. You know, Zona is so talented, and Tommy, they're such good broadcasters, and they cover the sport so well, and
Yeah.
they do such great things with the mapping and the background. Plus, I spent my whole life training for the big five, you know, the 5 heaviest fish, like
Right.
catching 1 pounders.
Yeah.
You know, you'd walk away from them,
Yeah.
and you know, leave those alone. Got to find the bigger schools or the dominant patterns where the bigger predators are. So I was, you know, I remained attracted to that, and I still do. I still do to this, you know, to this moment. I love the strategy that is involved in trying to catch the big ones, and you know, sometimes deciding to just get 5 bites, going for that. You know, I love that strategy, but I love fishing.
Yeah.
So I like watching MLF. I
yeah.
like watching my biggest criticism of MLF is I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
what's a
man.
red crest?
I
What's a
know.
champion crest?
I
Yeah.
know.
Who
I know.
qualified? Who didn't?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck is going on over there? You know?
Yeah.
And they moved it from 12, like from a legal fish to 2 pounds,
Yeah.
Right.
and then the 3 pounds.
Depends
for
on
the
where you're
big-
at. They take the
Yeah.
size or whatever. You know, it's really weird.
Yeah, they're wrestling with all that, I guess, and
Yeah.
I'd like to see them simplify a little bit. I think it would help the viewers and the fans follow it a little bit better. But
Yeah,
that's
I
my-
agree.
That's my biggest complaint. You can ask George because
Oh, it's terrible.
I bitch about it all the time.
It's terrible.
I don't even know what we used to watch it
It's very confusing.
at 2:00 on a Saturday. The freaking shop would basically shut down for me and George. It would be like, well, you guys check yourself
Volume
out.
up.
You know, we're turning the TV up. We're watching.
Senkos
Major
are in
League
aisle
Fishing.
4.
You know, don't ask any questions because we're not going to answer you for 2 hours. You know, the last 2 hours of the day on a
I'll
Saturday.
just tell somebody who
'Cause
came in, you picked
was-
a bad time to come
It
here.
was super freaking exciting, but all of a sudden,
It's
like,
very confusing.
what the hell are they fishing for?
Well,
Corbin, did you
Yeah.
ever figure?
you
Corbin,
gotta work to follow it.
Yeah,
Corbin-
you have to. It's like a full.
And I love
job.
it. I mean,
And
I enjoy it because I'm a massive fan of the sport.
right,
But it's hard to follow.
Oh, it's very hard. I was just telling somebody on my boat the other day. I'm like, I just don't watch it anymore. He's like, what do you mean don't watch it? I'm like, I just don't have the time to sit down for 2 hours and try to figure out which cup qualifying round Confucius idea it is. I mean, you know, and then I see this article come out the other day about Wheeler winning Angler of the Year. And, you know, I read the statistic and it was like he weighed in 300 and some scoreable fish and, you know, had 1,195 pounds or something, but his average was 283. And to me,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so like to put that into perspective, and then they talk about him going into practice mode. I'm like, okay, so like, what about other people? Like, what about the people that are doing 5 fish limits? You know,
Yeah.
like I'd like to see if that was like a marketing thing to try to say, oh, we're catching big fish too, or if it's like, you know, look at what's going on.
It'd be
here.
good to see what
You know, like I'm like, when you put a stat like that out there, what's that for? You know,
Yeah.
look at the other people that catch big fish. I mean, what do
Yeah.
you think? What do you think Lee Livesey's average for the year was? I mean, he had a 42-pound bag one day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't know. Like,
right.
I think
Guarantee the average is up in BSS.
yeah,
I think the biggest mistake that MLF is making, or BPT, or whatever it's called,
not the big 5.
not the big 5, but the weigh them
What
all.
the hell?
Sorry, Pete.
I'm so confused.
No, the weigh them all. The weigh them all. And I'm being serious here, but I think the biggest mistake they're making is like in any form of competition, if you target and mold yourself around who you're competing against, and in this instance, they're competing for our viewership time. They're competing against BASS. I would say I like what they're doing. I like the format, although it's different. It's not my preferred format, but I respect it. But I would say don't ever
Step on anybody's toes.
Don't ever follow BAS. BASS is doing what they're doing.
Right.
You do what you're doing, and the Fat Cat Newton League is doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And everybody should just stay in your lane and do your thing.
High kick. High kick.
Right. I mean,
and I love me some Fat Cat Newton now.
I was going to ask Pete about this, but I was going to wait a little bit here. Pete, it seems like a lot of your pros that are making your big money, are doing it by fishing multiple circuits or like jumping in, crossing over. Right. So like for me, my thing is these executives and the people that are calling the shots on a tournament schedule. I mean, why can't they align the schedules so that people like John Cox can fish all 3 circuits? I mean, why can't they do this so that people, if they want to fish both, they can? I mean, it just, to me, it's kind of mind blowing that, I mean, I understand people picking and choosing, and like, it's like, when Brian Schmidt won down in Florida, like, oh, Schmidt sets the record. But then at the same time, that's all you hear about him because he's fishing BASS. And now you hear about him on the Potomac. It's like, we're all in the same sport. Like, just get along. We're not AFC, NFC playing for the Super Bowl here. Like, I'd like to kind of see how it all shakes out in the end.
Well, that's good because the Eagles, they might roll this year.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Eagles look good.
Yeah,
I'm happy about that. Corbin, it's a great question, man. And I think there's a lot going on there. Number one, there's some pretty powerful businessmen running these organizations,
right?
And a lot of people that run businesses have the mentality to kill the competition.
Right.
Right. So they almost purposefully try to make decisions and calls to just completely distract the audience, capture the other guy's audience, steal his marketing impressions. And, I think there's a lot of that going on, a lot of it, honestly.
We got a word for that.
Corbin is,
I ain't gonna say it
just, schedule. It's hard. It's like, you got to get with CDB groups like Departments of Tourism. Can we have our tournament in your town? Can we, are you free that weekend? And Bass might come out with their schedule, and MLF is trying to get to a place on the, and maybe they're even trying to avoid each other, but inevitably they can't.
Right.
And I think there's some of that going on too. But
there's only so many weekends.
Yeah.
There is only so many weekends. There's so many places that are acceptable to tournaments. Like, we just got back from Messina. Messina loves for you to come. But
they love you, yeah.
Yeah, but even Messina's getting booked. Like, how do you get your weekend up there? And in other places, you got to be first on the draw. So there's a lot of factors there, and I see a lot going on. I've heard rumors that the MPFL has recruited some pretty high level competitors to come over and participate in the Fat Cat Newton Tour.
Yeah,
yeah. Pete, weren't you going to fish that?
Yeah,
one point or something?
You were invited. I thought you accepted it.
Or someone said, I saw your name on the original list or something. And was that true? Or
no, I was invited, and I appreciate the invitation. It was awesome. And, for me, it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
For me, I was, I'm now the dean. I'm senior in age. I'm not the young gun like I used to be. So,
I don't know, man.
I've decided
I've
moved in the direction that was right for me and my business and my family.
Sure. Right.
But
that's smart.
I would have loved to have gone out and fished it.
Pete, real quick, are you aware that we nicknamed George the Professor?
Well, no, we really didn't do that. Corbin said that twice, and it's not a nickname. Because I find it extremely disrespectful to you. And if he keeps on saying
no, the dean is
above the professor.
Is always above the
professor.
Professor.
Is above the professor.
You might be seeing somebody get in front of bitch slapped here for a little bit if this keeps up.
Hey. Well, somebody needs to pick up the baton and carry it, George. We lost. The Bass Professor. We lost the Bass Professor.
We did.
Doug Hannon.
We
not
did
too long ago. So we need somebody to carry that torch. I think it should be you.
I don't think it was that professor that we were kind of
No.
going for.
No,
because
but
I don't think you can fill those shoes.
I will tell you, Pete. Mike and I are old school friends with Doug Hannon.
Yeah, we had some great nights,
and
with
we
him.
have some tremendous stories to tell. Not on this show.
Yeah, we had some great times with him.
You know, he was a great guy to know, and he was the best professor.
He was
because he took a scientific approach back when scientific approaches weren't cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So but no, Corbin came up with this professor, and that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work for me.
Okay,
but,
Pete. I'm not going to ask you this again, but because I think you covered it. But the feelings on Bass. Is Bass king?
You are. What are you, Maury Povich
right.
or something?
I'm just asking. Is Bass the king?
Right now, I gotta say yes.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Bass has been the only organization to really build superstars. What other organization has built a bass fishing superstar?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, right? Nobody.
Nobody.
They've taken,
Not yet. What? Who?
FLW built Jacob Wheeler. I'm just saying that because I was at the All-American that he won, and then he went on to win the Forest Wood Cup, and then he transitioned over into bass. I know it may be a source.
All right, so you got one out of 100.
Justin Lucas, David Dudley, Brian Thrift,
all bass guys first.
Scott Martin.
All bass guys.
All bass guys.
Yeah.
David
bass guys first.
Okay, so Mr. Pete Gluszek talked about the 1995 Bassmaster Invitational on the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah.
David Dudley,
right?
That was his first tournament.
Okay.
In the bass.
Yeah. They all started at
world.
Bass.
Yeah. Corbin,
because I saw him there.
I mean, Corbin, you brought up a few names. You brought up like 3 or 4, and you're right. But Bass is dwarfs that. I mean, they're building the Johnston brothers. Look at guys we would have never known about.
Exactly.
And they're now becoming household names.
Exactly.
All these new guys.
Who's the Panoptics guy that's real famous right now? The
Patrick Walters.
Patrick. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy. I mean, come on.
Yeah. No,
these
Greg
are
DePalma. Come on.
Greg
DePalma.
These
Come
guys
on.
that would have had they would have had a much longer road to break through. I'm not saying they wouldn't have broke through, but they would have had to get through Hackney and Van Dam and all the rest to get to that notoriety that they're currently enjoying right now.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of levels to this onion, is what you're saying, Pete. There's multiple layers that are in play here. Cameraman Nick has a major announcement.
Yeah,
he
I
wants
do
to make
because you said I was a positive guy, right? So this is one of those things. When Major League Fishing started, the one thing it did is it opened up a lot of opportunities for other people that probably wouldn't have been there if those guys wouldn't have went and done their own thing. So I look at it from that perspective.
It definitely did. That's one
and that's
thing
a great perspective
that it definitely did do. Opened up.
You got a lot of guys at the MTFL that are getting it done, and you're absolutely right, Nate. That's a valid point. Also, COVID-19 brought a bunch of new people, a bunch of new eyeballs, and a bunch of new money.
That's a great point.
That is a great point.
That's a great point right there.
That is also, but without question, the absolute most important people of that and fishermen and anglers of 2021 are the BFL Angler of the Year winners. There's no question.
No.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, one more question, Pete.
What do you got?
BFL's crappy payouts.
Boy, Mike, you're like a combination of Geraldo.
No, I'm just saying. Now there's a couple ways you can look at it. But they're the crappiest payouts ever.
I thought you were going to talk about the Toyota Series lunkers that pay like $68.
You hear what my man says?
I'm just saying.
It's not true.
It's what I hear and the vibe I get from people. It's the crappiest payouts ever.
unless you're on a Phoenix.
Try fishing the Opens in the Toyota Series. You want to talk about a crappy payout?
That's
Right.
true. I heard that too. That's a big
I had
big problem too.
I had a much higher profit margin on the BFL than I did in the Opens or the Toyota Series.
You of all people should know that.
Yeah, I know, but he had how many top 10 finishes?
Well, that's true, but I also had entry fees that were very small,
Right.
and practice sessions that were very short
and cheap.
The Opens are week long events with $1,800 entry fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you get a check, you get $2,200.
Yeah.
So
and you spent $4,000.
All right, that's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
This is the kind of conversation I like to hear. This is what I like to hear.
Here's the other thing to defend the here. I'm going to defend them all because they all have different reasons to spend your money. But the BFLs now, I'm attending a no entry fee regional where I'm fishing,
and that's where I was going to go with it.
And
Yeah,
10
absolutely.
Grand. And a chance to make All American where you're fishing for $100,000.
Yeah, and you get paid regardless of showing up, right?
Right.
Valid point. Valid point.
We did the math though.
Whoa! My man has something to say about the Toyota Series.
Go ahead.
The Toyota Series also has a championship with a no entry fee with a $250,000 purse.
That's
for first place.
That's
so
Donald Trump huge.
But you know where they get all that money from, right, Pete? Only paying out $95 for lunker. I'm just kidding.
The lunker prize?
I'm just kidding.
The Open, I would say pay out the least, and there's no championship. But the prize, the carrot, is the classic, which is the most valuable thing in fishing. So, man.
Well, and the top three get the Elite Series berth.
Yeah, they did even better. The top three get a bill for $50,000. So that's
you're right. There you go.
Right.
True that.
There you go. Well, Pete, you could come up with that kind of money.
Well, you hear a lot of talk about sponsors. It's all about sponsors. I would say a lot of people don't understand what a sponsor is. But, I mean, really, a sponsor, if you're fishing the Elite Series, if you graduate to the Elite Series and you accept your bid, this guy right here on this part of your shirt, he's paying your entry fees. That's $50,000 spot. This guy right here, he's paying your freaking expenses because that's a $10,000 to $15,000, $20,000 spot. So, I mean, really, when you graduate from Toyota Series and or Bass Open to FLW, Big League, Wave 5, Major League, BPT, whatever that's called, and Elite, you need sponsors, and your sponsors defray those costs. I mean, $50,000 in entry fees, $70,000 in a boat, $50,000 in a truck. Eating beanie weenies ain't going to cut it. I mean, you need paying sponsors. So that's kind of like how that whole program works. And when you get to that level, you get that. You get there, right, Mike?
I just love the conversation on it. I think the progression, Corbin,
is awesome.
I think the progression from when Corbin, because Corbin fished the All-American.
Yep. I remember like right after or before I fished the All-American, Pete was at the shop and him and I had a conversation. He gave me excellent.
I remember that
life advice.
I remember that.
And you didn't follow it though.
What do you mean I didn't follow it? A year later, I had a jet boat.
Yeah, but I remember your All-American stories.
Well, no, this was after that.
What was my advice?
Pete, I mean, I guess I got to spill the beans here. You literally told me, and you said, listen, I've been there. I've done that. I want you to know something. Don't go in massive debt unless you can afford it, is basically what you said. However, take your chance if you're willing to do it, but always remember that family comes first. And that was the way that you pretty much worded it to me.
God dang, Pete, you're a smart son of a bitch.
And you said that you're like, hey, like
Fucking
you know,
Pete is on
like
it,
the
man.
expenses are really high.
He's on it.
You know, if you think you're
He's just a man.
and the percentages to win are really low. And I remember we were talking about business.
He's always
that
been
day,
that way.
and it was just an awesome conversation, man.
That is.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, this guy's the man. But
I remember that, Pete.
I
I remember it like it was yesterday. When
it was the last time he was here at the new shop.
I don't know what you said to him, but I remember.
You have to-
I remember when you pulled him off the side and had a conversation because I was right there.
Yep.
I don't know why I was right there, but I was right there and I walked.
But
away.
you have to
Yeah.
understand where it's coming from. I mean, you know,
Right.
So Pete admittedly said he started his career in '95. I mean, back then Pete was fishing. You had guys and if you guys are students of the sport, you might understand what I'm saying here. Danny Correa. Remember that name, Pete?
Oh yeah, second place in the classic.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's one that's still fishing. His name's Randy Blaukett. Those two guys were tight as could be. And I could go on and on with some other names. These were all people that today would have the name of Patrick Walters, and they would have the name of Brock Mosley, and they would have the name of so on and so forth.
Johnson brothers.
And they were those people of that era.
Absolutely.
Am I correct, Pete?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Randy Blaukett, by the way, has had a massive resurgence
yes.
on his YouTube channel.
Oh, he's
and
huge.
Now
We love him.
speaking to the new audience, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my point is,
Really happy
you
to
know,
see that.
I could name probably 5 or 6 names, and the only one who's still fishing today is Randy Blaukett from your era, not including you. That I would name. I would name 5 or 6 names that were relevant then, and Randy Blaukett is here today. That's 95 to 2021. Okay, that's a minute. Now, today we have, you know, the names that I just named, and I could pick out 3 more real quick. It's there's different advantages available today, but it's the same challenge. And that advice that Pete gave to Corbin was based on that whole concept right there. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. In other words, there's going to be, and actually, Pete, one of the things that I wanted to ask you was, you know, there are a ton of new anglers getting into the sport this year. Last year, I mean, the past couple years, I mean, this is so popular with COVID and all that stuff that we don't talk about. But, you know, if you could give any advice to like new anglers, you know, whether they're in college, whether they're in high school, whether they may have just bought their first bass boat, you know, whether they think they want to go pro one day, what would that advice be? You know, and I know it's kind of a couple, maybe 2-3 things you're going to give them, but, you know, what would that be, Pete? Because I remember like you gave it to me right after I made the All-American as a co-angler, and I was thinking I was going to buy a boat, and you basically kind of came Lee Corso on me and said, not so fast, my friend. So, like, break that down to us.
Well, I think the first thing an angler needs to focus on is his fishing. You got to remember that in the age of social media and sponsorship, a lot of times guys get the cart in front of the horse, and maybe they can, you know, talk to a sponsor, but the fishing is what's going to carry you. You know, it's what's going to, it's got to be what your pure focus is. But that being said, in today's day and age, and right now what's happening is, and it's been happening for 10 years, is social media. You have to be able to communicate with your audience. You got to be able to talk to people, and you're building. Here's a piece of advice: when you get a sponsor, everybody's like, "Oh, I want a sponsor." Well, when you get a sponsor, you're getting a job. You got to recognize that. You're not getting somebody to give you free gear or give you free tackle or boat or whatever it is. You're taking on a job. That's how they're compensating you, and your job is to promote that company's product and sell them and influence in your circle. So, that's what sponsorship really is. And I think a lot of kids and a lot of new people get confused about what that really means. But recognize when you take on a sponsor, put that patch on your shirt, that's your job. Your job is to work for that company and help them get to the next level. But at the end of the day, the number one is focus on your fishing. You got to be obsessed with it. It's got to be that way. It's got to be something that keeps you up at night. It's got to be something that haunts your dreams and it is your complete passion, because you are absolutely going to need it to get past Jacob Wheeler and Ike Anelli and all the rest. And that's absolutely what you're going to need. And so my number one is to definitely focus on your fishing, guy. Make sure you get that done first.
Pete, that's so interesting too, because I was just up at the islands for a few days, and I fished Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and we fished a full day, pretty much early to late. And every night when I came off the river at 7 or so, there was 4 or 5 opens or tour anglers who were still there practicing. There was Pat Schlapper, there was Oliver Nye, there was several other opens and tour anglers that I saw there. The Zaldanes were there. And I mean, they were practicing as if the tournament started the next day, because
they were coming off the water late at night.
To Pete's point,
this
is your job. This is what you do. You're coming back next year. Every second of knowledge that you can gain could be a difference maker. And I respected that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean, the wind is smoking down the river at 20 knots.
Right.
And it's 6:30 at night, and they're still out fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and it's 5 days after the tournament's over. So that's what Pete's referring to.
All right, Pete.
That's an example.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, we're going to start wrapping this up. So I got some quick questions for you.
I got a couple too.
Favorite pro fisherman?
Talk to me.
Favorite pro fisherman?
Oh, my favorite pro fisherman right now. I mean, they're all. I love them all, man.
I know that,
so
but you're the guy that really gets you.
Well, one of my favorites right now, because I thought his win was masterful, and he caught one of the third biggest stringers in the history of the world, and he was so fun to work with. And we just filmed them as Lee Livesey. I would.
Yeah.
Cool.
Plus, he likes him a good old honky tonk too, which I like.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pete, your favorite boat, Pete?
You know what that is?
Favorite,
Nitro, right,
well,
Pete?
I got a couple favorite boats now that I think about it. Now it's hard to question the answer. The Cougar FTD is unbelievable. I took it 60 miles across Lake Erie in 7-foot waves.
Whoa!
Here at Lake Ontario, I brought it 20 miles out into the lake, and it just keeps its nose up. It's such a wonderful a big water boat, and you wouldn't think of it because it goes like 100 miles an hour, and you're like, it can't be good in big water.
They're fast boats, man.
So good in big water.
They're so fast boats.
I saw one on. Pete, I saw one on the profile the other day. I was fishing out pretty far offshore on the river, and this local guy was fishing in a Cougar FTD, and I saw him put it up on pad and was running down the bank. And the depth of the boat was so deep from the gunnel to the V. From a distance, it looked like a walleye boat. And that's, I think, what makes that's the secret weapon in that boat is how deep that hull is.
All right.
It does. And I love the Bass Cat. That boat is amazing. But Mike, my favorite boat is my boss. When I worked on a flower farm back when I was 16 years old, was a little tiny John boat of Grumman, 10 foot long. He had 2 plastic seats permanently like bolted into the bench seats, and I would have a trolling motor, and I had a trolling motor and with a battery, and he would let me borrow that boat, and I fell in love with fishing in that little tiny drum.
That's what I was looking for.
That's
right there,
awesome.
bro.
There
That's
you
exactly
go.
what I was looking for right there.
Humble beginnings.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. So Pete Gluszek, BASS, 117 tournaments fished, classics 3 times in the Bassmaster Classic, in the money 42 times, won 2 tournaments. Second place, he had two finishes, top 10 finishes 17, top 20 finishes 26, top 30 finishes 30. In the Major League Fishing League, or the FLW,
Which, be sure you say it right.
I don't even know. He fished
MLFLW.
Yeah, he fished 88 tournaments. I know you fished 1 cup event, but how many other ones did you fish?
I fished every EverStart or Toyota series that I ever tried to make. I fished a lot of those.
Yeah, I know, but how many cups did you make? The Forest Wood Cups?
No, I just one time.
Just one. Okay. All right. Yeah.
That was on the Three Rivers.
Yep. He had 2 wins.
Yep.
He had 2 wins, FLW wins, and he had 10 top 10 finishes in the FLW series.
Bro, that's how many tournaments?
It's a shit ton. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's a shit ton of fishing.
Legend.
And the freaking guy is still going, and he just got the NBFL Angler of the Year.
NE Northeast.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shit.
I
had to
applause.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the shit right there.
That is awesome.
And people don't get that. You know what I mean? Here, it's one of the hardest working freaking guys I ever met in my life.
Well,
Pete Gluszek in the fishing industry.
Yeah.
He freaking busts his freaking ass. He's not afraid to do what it takes to fish hard, to win tournaments, to have a career in the fishing industry, which is tough as shit.
Right.
You know, it's tough.
Right.
It ain't easy.
And he did it. Pete Gluszek did it.
And continues to do it.
And he continues to do it. It's unbelievable.
He's not a has-been. He's a still doing.
I have a couple quick
One
questions.
more thing
do
real
I.
quick, though. All them things you just said.
Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hold on, Pete. All them things you just said, and yet Pete is one of the most approachable guys
Walk right up
on
to
the
him.
lake.
Damn
I
right
will
he is.
tell you. And I appreciate that, Pete.
He respects his fellow anglers.
Well, we were lucky. We worked with Pete
Right?
for 4 or 5 years. You know, we call us a sponsor or whatever, but we work with Pete, you know, and it was just such a joy to work with him because he was a hardworking dude. He did what he did.
Not only that, he was a pioneer.
He's a pioneer.
Because back in the early days of SFT and what is now Tackle Shop Live, and I'll tell you, Pete,
I think he was the first one, George.
you actually stole this idea from us, and I have no problem with it. It was 5 questions. And that's cool. You don't have to. You don't have
It's
to.
all right.
It's okay.
all right.
It's okay, bro. We don't use it much anymore.
We're brothers. We're
breaking it down. We're bringing it down to 3 questions because we're getting up against the clock here. So I got 3 questions for you now. For those of you who are listening from outside the area and don't know Pete Gluszek, he's basically a South Jersey sled. And if you're a South Jersey, you're pretty much Philly.
You're Philly.
I mean, you know,
he's close to Philly.
he probably doesn't go into Philly much anymore because Philly's turning into a.
He does
Philly
the
needs
Jersey side.
Philly needs a tune-up.
Yeah, it's getting rough over there, man.
Yeah, man. I'm not real happy with Philly right now. I mean, you know, I don't want to get involved with that, but I got 3 questions for you, Pete. I know you know your way around the city of brotherly love. I just got to say this: wit or without?
Oh man, definitely wit.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go. And
called that one right.
I'm not going to say Pats or Geno's because I know you don't go to either one of those. But I'm just saying, wit or without, he's wit.
There were some. I don't know. At 1:30 last night, down at somebody was ordering wit and got without.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I've heard of. heard some crime around those restaurants.
That's a problem right there, bro.
That's ugly right there. Right. You know,
That's
you
a
don't wanna-
problem.
You don't want to be doing that.
For those of you who don't know, well, you're not going to know from this show.
No, you're not going to know.
Now, Pete, are the Phillies going to win the wild card, for God's sakes?
Oh my God. I would love for it to happen. They're 3 games out. Last I looked today. And
That's pretty
I'm
good.
going to say no.
No.
Well, you know, I mean, I hate the Braves, obviously, for obvious reasons. And the Mets suck, obviously, for obvious reasons. But, you know, the Phillies get on these little five-game heaters. I mean, it might happen.
Man, I would love nothing better to see it. The Eagles had a blistering win with their new quarterback.
Yeah.
I was ready to close it out with them, so I don't know.
All
I'm
right.
going to be rooting for them, but it's a long road.
I got one more, my 3-pack for you. I cut my 5-pack down to a 3-pack. And you kind of segued very nicely into it.
Very nicely. Very nicely.
Eagles versus Niners this weekend. And, you know, inquiring minds who may or may not have a recreational hobby outside of football, of wagering on football, would want to know what the dean thinks, because I know where I'm at on this game.
Oh, the Eagles all the way over the 49ers. They don't
2-0, baby.
But here's my concern.
Shit.
Here's my concern, Professor.
We got it started. Yes, it's Dean approved. Hold on, Professor. Take notes. School's about to be in session.
Yeah, my concern is, and I got this from one of my home water training customers this week, and he's right. I think they haven't seen the film on our new quarterback yet.
Right?
They got to see him play in action. Nobody's been able to prepare for him yet, and they will this weekend. So that will be the big question. But I still Eagles over 49ers by 10.
Well, that's
God.
that's a nice thing about a new quarterback. I mean, you know,
Is that Garoppolo?
that
Is that Garoppolo?
No,
what are you talking about?
We're talking about Jalen
We're
Hurts.
talking about Jalen Hurts.
The 49ers.
Yeah.
Is that
No, we're
Garoppolo?
talking about the Eagles.
Who's that?
Jimmy G.
Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, we're
Is
talking about
the Niners?
You know, you know the Heisman runner-up of the year when he was at
Jets, Jets. That's all I gotta say.
Mikey,
That's all I gotta say.
Mikey,
That's all I gotta say.
This ain't
Mikey,
turning
where's the
into an
toilet
NFL
at? Where's
show.
the toilet at? Can you hit the toilet over there?
What, for the Eagles? Oh wait, hang on.
Oh, that's for the Jets.
Come on. Oh shit. This thing sucks.
All right, so let's put a bow on this bad boy, Mike.
Well, I think I want to lay down the gauntlet here. I want to challenge the Susquehanna fishing group against the Bass University group on the river. Yes, the Delaware River for a showdown.
Oh,
Oh hell no.
Not
Wait,
not
Hell
not the
no.
Susquehanna
Whoa.
River.
Wait,
hold on. We're
all
gonna
right.
raise the stakes.
Well,
hey
here-
Pete.
well, here's
Pete,
the deal.
time and place, and you can private message me, because that right there, that just happened.
No. We're gonna raise the stakes,
That just happened.
and then they're gonna come on our river, the Mine River, and then if need be, we'll go to the Bay for the championship.
Oh.
No. I'm accepting the challenge on behalf of SFT that we're going down on the Delaware, and we're gonna whip some Bass U ass.
Come on.
And Pete, make sure you bring Ike with you, because you know you're gonna need all the help you can get.
You got to watch. You got the Riz, who is getting to be.
I know, but the Riz-
Oh, the Riz, I know. He's
I
freaking
know
coming.
the Riz is a killer. You got BTC, but you know what? We got some secret weapons up yonder here. We're not gonna name them on camera.
Oh,
But they might have long beards from New York. We called in Sancho, baby. We're calling in the IBEW. We going back to the basics. We gonna call him up in there. He gonna get his jig on, baby. Woo! What's that secret crawl that he
You
flips the
can't-
reins? The reins flip and crawl. You better
cannot
watch
play
yourself, Mr.
Sancho.
Gluszek. Your black Senko ain't no good up in here. Oh no, we got the Palmer.
Wait a minute. Who's the Palma fishing with?
Us.
Us.
Oh,
What are you
Topama's on our
talking
team.
about?
He's with
No, no.
We
Oh,
got
no.
We're gonna have to draw straws for De Palma and
No.
Sancho because
No.
they both belong to me too.
No.
We'll have to fight about that
Well,
one.
I guess we got Ryan Bauman,
Well,
John
we're-
Venor. Who else do we got to recruit?
Yeah, we got people.
All right, we'll talk about
Bobby
this
We
later
got
Lane.
people.
at a
I'm just
later
kidding.
date.
All right. Maybe we ought to have a draft.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
snake draft. Snake draft.
And a snakehead bounty.
Oh hell, that's
I like
funny.
Hey, listen, Pete, we'd love to
be
thank
awesome.
you for your time. You know, I know you're extremely busy and
Well,
you know, you spend many hours in front of the camera and very gracious. We appreciate it.
yep,
We
absolutely.
got to put a bow on this bad boy. We got a little bit of shop business to cover real quick here.
Yeah. So Pete, thank you so much. Pete Gluszek, Bass U, TV, Bass University.
Yeah, what do you need to do? Like,
and
share,
Well,
save?
the other thing is, I
mean, what
think I have it right here.
what is Pete?
I'm gonna
What's Pete's? Put Pete's digits up there,
I'm
man.
gonna throw it up here. PeteGluszek.com for
Yep.
On the water
Go-
training.
Guys, go over to bassu.tv, sign up, subscribe, join the Bass University family. Come on over. It truly
Bass-
is a lot of amazing,
BassU.tv.
valuable information. It's going to help you become a better angler.
True.
We've got tremendous stuff
True.
over there. So come and check it out, guys. Love you guys so much. It was so much fun hanging out, man. I miss you guys a lot, and thanks so much for having me on.
Yes, thanks,
absolutely.
Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
And you're more than welcome out here anytime to fish the river or anywhere.
We'll see you
we're
down
at,
for the
all
battle on the Delaware.
Yep.
We're gonna be dressed
November.
like George Washington, sucker.
Yeah. November, I will be wearing my George Washington wig. I will be using my dip sail in place of my Minn Kota.
Yeah.
And we will have it then. November is when the river's at its best, at the biggest.
Oh, we'll be
So
there.
let's do it in November. Let's do it.
Yes.
Is what's it going to take to win? I mean, let's hear it. 6 pounds, 5.
November, no less than 15 pounds will win the river.
Yes.
Oh. Hey, how many hooks are we allowed to if we sling a rig? You know what I mean?
You can bring 12 hooks for all I care. Just
12.
Be careful. The Philadelphia police might throw you in jail.
Right.
Not based on what I saw the last
All
time.
right, Pete. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Pete.
man. It was as always the best ever. Thank you so
Yep.
much.
Thanks,
And-
Pete.
And we'll talk to you later, Pete.
Thanks, guys. Love you guys.
Yep.
Take care. Love you too, pal.
All
Pete
right, Mike.
Gluszek, man, what a great guy. Thanks for stopping in.
Let's put a bow on the
but
show.
yeah, we got a couple things we got to talk about real quick.
real quick. We just want to tune you guys up on a lot of calls, a lot of questions this week and last, actually. We got to tackle a little product, a little what's hot, what's not. The Big Blade chatterbait, the Brian Thrift Big Blade
Yeah.
is in the house.
Man, look at those things. That's a 6.0 Mustad extra sharp hook. That's a stainless steel extra big blade. That's a hand-tied skirt on there, and that's a double keeper for your trailer, George.
And yeah, have you ever heard the expression?
What?
Go big or go home.
Go big or go home, and
Okay.
wear.
So Brian
Hey,
Thrift
you know the football players wear the mouthpiece
with the spinner.
with they put the mouthpiece
Yeah.
in. You got to wear a mouthpiece when you throw this because it'll chatter the teeth right out of
Yeah.
your head.
Ah.
Oh, hold on, Mikey. Give yourself a drum roll
Yeah.
on that one. You funny.
Whatever. Hell yeah.
Also from our friends at Z-Man, the football Ned head.
Football Ned head.
Let me tell you, I was
sorry.
I was dragging that little quarter-ounce football Ned head around in some shallower water all last 3 days.
Yep.
Very, very nice.
Yep.
Big shipments from Yamamoto.
Yamamoto.
Basically a
I was
skid.
hanging that stuff up all day today. Yes, I do.
Well,
hang stuff
actually,
up,
speaking
and
of
I do work
skids,
hard.
we got 3 skids of Plano in today.
Yeah.
And they're not unpacked yet, so
Yeah.
calm down.
I had to unload them bastards from the truck. I know how much it was.
3 skids.
Son of a gun. It took me forever.
Shimano-
You saw it, Nick. They're piled up
Shimano,
back there.
G. Loomis, and Jackal. Massive shipments.
Anybody looking for like some stuff that was out for a while in the Jackal?
It's back.
It's back. There's a lot of swim baits back in,
And they're deep.
and yeah, they're packed in there pretty good. So check it out.
Daiwa, Zillion G's. A lot of them here, a lot of them coming. So if you're looking for Zillion G's, we got them. A lot of Daiwa coming in. A lot of Daiwa has hit. A lot of Daiwa's coming. In other words, we got a huge Gamakatsu shipment in today. The general rule of thumb is product is rolling into SFT. We don't want to bog you down on all this because we just had
colors on those chatterbaits.
we just had a great show. We don't want to talk all this numbers.
We had a great show. It was a great time. Thank you guys for hanging on. You guys were
Thanks, cameraman Nick.
Yeah, thanks, cameraman Nick. Corbin
got it.
Gottwald.
Thanks, Corbin Gottwalt.
Thank you so much. Had a great
Thanks,
show.
Big Mike.
Big G in
Cheers.
the house. Hey, glad you came back to work, bro.
I didn't want to,
Yeah, I said have the reins, man.
and I took them. I mean, the
I
only
said have
reason
the
I
rings.
came home is the weather
Yeah,
got hostile.
it did get shitty on
Basically, I just want to sum it up like this: the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario hate me. I've been going up there for decades, and they hate me. They tried to sink me on numerous occasions.
We try to tell people when we
I've been
plan a trip,
extremely wet numerous
go.
times. Now, I did wear the CX Sim suit this time.
oh shit.
And guess what? I had waves rolling over me out on Lake Ontario. I was 22 miles out on Lake Ontario, and I had waves rolling over the CX suit.
Yeah.
Dry as you can bet.
Thank you, Caitlin, for helping us out for that little bit of time.
But let's get out of here.
I know it's been a long time sitting around the.
Bust a little tune on us.
But anyway, thank you guys so much. And you know what? We didn't even do it because we rushed Pete off.
Well, Pete's busy, man.
Yeah, but we got some special things from Pete that we're gonna use for our Facebook. And we're gonna promote the heck out of it. It's a couple subscriptions for Bass UTV. So all you guys pay attention. We're gonna put a notice out on Instagram, and we're gonna put a notice out on YouTube, and we're gonna put a notice out on Facebook because you guys are the ones that are watching, and you guys are the ones that should win. And we want you guys to pay attention because we're gonna put a thing out for a couple subscriptions that Pete offered up.
Really?
Yeah, and a couple of he called it Bass U packets. It's $100-something value.
Yeah.
100, the two of them.
Yeah.
So
well,
we rushed them off.
Yeah, we're going to cover that. We're going to cover that. We're going to give that its due diligence,
and we're gonna hook Pete up on that. And you guys are gonna get hooked up because it's a great little thing with Bass UTV and Pete Gluszek and everything he does. So pay attention to that. It's coming up.
Yeah.
Log it. Like, share all this stuff for us, please. Share everything.
Yeah, we need likes and shares, and comments, and
shares.
And we love you guys.
We love it. Till next time.
Yep.
We'll see you next time on Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day you called me up, you told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel, please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Oh, please, lover. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I'm going crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair and your beautiful smile. Your sense of humor makes it all worthwhile. Don't make me wait, it's not a funny game. You know just what I feel. Please tell me our love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Hopeless lover, a hopeless lover. I can't get enough. I can't get enough. You mean